Welcome to the Poultry Keepers Podcast. John and Madeline and I are with you today, and we're going to have a really good show. We're going to be talking about spring fever and how it applies to chicken. So, spring brings fresh energy, blooming gardens, and for many of us, that irresistible urge to add new chicks to the flock. Now, whether you're hatching your own or scrolling hatchery websites, today's episode is all about channeling that spring excitement into smart, sustainable poultry planning. We'll help you balance that spring fever with flock success so you can enjoy the spring season without getting in over your head, at least hopefully. So let's take it away, guys. Let's start with this. Lost my place. Sorry about that. Let's start with this. Hatching your own chicks. What are some of the advantages, like control over genetics, breeding goals, and satisfaction of watching chicks hatch? What do you think advantages of from hatching your own birds, Madeline?
Sorry, I have to start that with a laugh because I have been struggling with spring fever when it comes to chickens and chicks since 1989.
It is very real.
Oh boy. Early on, I could not walk into any setup that had birds and resist it. So very quickly, I found myself with this flock of incredible diversity, 2 or 3 of everything. And when I was focusing on Bantams, my parents asked me to count. Keep in mind, this is like an urban area. And I was supposed to have about 20. And when my parents asked me to count, it came up at 53.
I think that's something we all go through and struggle with.
Bantam is what, 3 to 1?
Yeah,
at least
I about had a 20 bird flock if they were standard size, but they weren't. So I flexed that number out.
So you're okay.
But that excitement level, just hearing that noise of the little peepers. I don't know what compulsion that is, but I have gotten control over myself over the years.
It's what we've just.
And now my rule is I have to hatch it. And then I slap some breeding rules on there that if you're going to do this, you're not hatching all willy-nilly. No, ma'am. You're going to hatch like you mean it, and you're going to take it seriously because that's what's going to keep you in check. So that's over the last couple decades, that's been my mantra of I have to do the whole thing and I have to do it correctly. Keep myself within responsible parameters.
Well, and you've experienced the pain of managing multiple concurrent and successive hatches as well. And the logistics of that. It's better to have a couple of big ones than a whole lot of small ones, for instance.
Now, some people like to hatch ongoing throughout the season, and other people like to hatch just a little early, and that's it for the year. And I have so much respect for the people who can hatch one time and be done for the year.
I'm trying to adopt that model, just managing feed, because I do grind and mix my own feed as needed, and mixing up 3 or 4 or now even 5 different formulas every 2 or 3 weeks, because we have quail, we have large fowl, Chanticleer, and allegedly there's some bourbon red turkeys coming soon. And each one of those has different stages of life and different feed requirements for different stages of life. And trying to manage those effectively can get overwhelming.
But it's a relief when you reach the end of it.
Oh, yes. When you're all on your adult ration and you're only got 2 or now 3 because of turkeys. Although I'm going to do some double duty with turkey and quail. Jeff showed me how.
To me, not only is that challenge, okay, but when you're hatching your own, you have to be worrying about fertility rates. How good is your incubation skills? It takes a little trial and error to get to where you can hatch good numbers of chicks. And then you got to worry about, do you have the equipment, space, and time? Because it is so easy to just take every egg that's laid, stick it in the incubator, and then suddenly you realize, hey, I got space for 50 chickens and I got 120 hatched.
Whoops.
Yeah, well, big whoops.
You look at your pen size, and then behind that, you look at your rearing pens and then your brooders. And I don't ever shoot for maximum capacity because
I've
I feel
found
more
that
pushing it.
it's helpful if you go into it with standards, even starting at the hatching egg, and look at shell quality, look at shape, look at size. 'Cause instead of setting all of them, how about you go through and grade them instead and make sure what you're putting in that incubator is worth hatching to cut off some of that extra after hatch
Yeah.
of chicks that
Any
may have been
imperfection.
undersized or chicks that didn't hatch that well because the egg shape wasn't quite right. You can do yourself a lot of favors by just being picky on what you actually put in that incubator.
And we've been talking about that for so many episodes. And I am really happy to see it. I'm getting contacted by a lot of folks that they are starting to pay attention to the hatching eggs they set.
Yeah.
And that, it makes me feel good that folks are saying, hey, I think what they're saying has some merit to it.
Yeah. I've been getting a lot of questions, people sending me pictures showing high porosity problems, going, hey, what can be causing it? Like maybe not enough calcium. Or if it's across your flock, not enough calcium. If it's just one bird, don't set those eggs. Let's just let it end there.
Not every layer was born to be a breeder.
No.
Amen to that.
Most of them are breakfast egg makers. If you actually get into the little details
Yeah.
of who you should be hatching from and why, most of them should just be on breakfast duty.
If you stick to the plan that you set your first year and then revised your second and third, hopefully you're getting things under control and you have your toll gates. You have your, I'm not setting eggs under this size or over this size or from hens under this age or over this age. There is no over, actually. By the time they've been around 3 or 4 years, you definitely want their eggs because they've proven themselves because you don't carry slouches.
Correct.
And if you're hatching your own chicks, folks, I really hope you're doing it with an eye to improving the breed or
Always
preserving
moving
the
forward.
breed or to building a sustainable flock. That's what it's all about to me. If I'm breeding, I need to be doing it to improve the breed and not just increase my numbers.
And that can
And
be
I'm-
tempting this time of year, and especially in the
sure.
current economy. Now, there's a lot of people scrambling for chicks this spring.
I was totally oblivious to how intense this particular season has been going for people who are sourcing chicks because they're not breeding, they're not hatching their own. They just want to get egg layers. And I was not prepared for what I have heard of how that scene is right now. It's intense and it's going to be also really temporary.
This
'Cause
season,
the ebbs and flows of the market for chicks, it varies year to year. This year is an intense year, but I want you guys to know it's temporary.
right?
It's kind of like the whole pendulum swinging thing. It may be up on one end now, but probably in a year or so, it's going to be swung over to the other side. Don't get caught up in all the, hey, eggs cost so much, I can save a lot of money. I got to be honest with you, you're going to be hard pressed to save
Yeah.
money if you're raising
Yeah.
your own chickens.
Here's the
Because-
secret. A reason that the eggs are costing a lot in the stores is they cost a lot to make. Once you start raising your own chicken, you're going to realize that.
I heard that some of the farm stores were selling out in mere moments, and a lot of them, they put a maximum number you could buy because there were people showing up buying them all.
Yeah.
And that
I've got a
blows my
neighbor.
mind. If you're going to show up somewhere and buy all, why would it be that farm store instead of doing a big order through a hatchery? Because there's still, when you buy from the farm stores, those chicks are shipped in. And the stores do provide a little, if you lose it, we'll replace it. But how are they going to replace it if they don't have any on hand because they sold them all? But also that shipping stress can last up to a week of when they receive those babies. So let's say the farm
Oh.
store receives 300. And in that initial shipment, since they did get started a little early when it was still cold, let's say 250 come out onto the sales floor. And
Then all this constant stress of
correct. It's a lot on a baby. It's a lot. And the juggling of hands in that first week, losses almost need to be part of the expectation because
Mm.
that's a lot of stress on a little
Well-
bitty baby.
This year, if you didn't pre-order your chicks from the local big box stores, you're not getting any. They just don't have them. I got a call from my local hardware store manager who knows that sometimes I have chicks available. He's like, hey, if you've got any chicks available this year, I'm like, no, sorry, I definitely don't. Thanks for the
Yeah, I don't either.
lookout. But he's got people coming in, they want to buy chicks. He's like, sorry, if you didn't pre-order, I've got nothing.
Now in off seasons, like last year, because last year didn't have any big driving forces behind sales. So they were
They were
back
giving away.
to making the bins markdowns because they have their next shipment coming in. They need
Mhm.
those bins to be empty. And that's where someone can swoop
Yep.
in and get everything left for 50 cents
Yeah.
a check.
I know they're
That's not
eating
gonna
more, they're
happen
pooping
this
more, they're
year.
costing more to carry, so they got to go and make room
But
for
next
the small
season,
ones.
it'll probably be right back into that.
Yeah. And the problem with that, when they start dropping their prices, the chicks that they have left over are probably, there's a good chance they're not the best quality chicks they received.
Yeah,
So you got to
they've been
factor that
picked
in.
up.
Yeah.
Well, they're still just going to
So-
be hatchery grade as hatched, whatever we
Sure.
got.
Yeah. So you
So-
take
Probably-
things into your own hands. You've got your flock. You've made your good breeding selections based upon previous episodes of the Poultry Keepers podcast. You've got all your equipment, and away you go.
I think whether the folks are going to buy chicks somewhere from the big box store, from a local breeder, or they're going to hatch their own, the key takeaway to that is you need to be prepared to deal with them. You got to have the space, the feeders, the infrastructure,
Yeah.
to make it all work. And that
Brooder
brings us
space
to the
first.
next point, and resisting chicken math.
That's hard, but it can be done.
Oh, it's a killer. And let's
Uh-huh.
define that when we start. What is chicken math? I like to equate it to go into the store and say, oh, I'm just going to buy 6 pullets. Oh, wait, now I have 23.
But
And it can happen just that quick.
Yes,
But-
it
And
can.
you get
It can-
excited, and there's such a breed variety, and that old
Yeah.
impulse buying situation, it's a struggle to keep it under control. Is it not, man?
But what happens if shipping losses aren't as high as you expect? Say I ordered 72 quail eggs and 9 turkey eggs, and I expect a 50% loss just due to shipping. But
But then, surprise,
strangely enough, they
90% hatch
all
rate.
hatch, or 90% hatch rate. And now I go, oh no, now what do I?
I plan for
I
that
have
much
all these mouths to
success.
feed, and I don't have enough brooder space.
So, guys, how do we help our listeners control that chicken math urge? I think for me, the thing I would say is make a plan for your flock before chick season even arrives, or at least before you go down to buy chicks.
But also, if you already did make that commitment, you need to be quick and fast on staying ahead of those problems that arise from chicken math after the fact. Because this is what happens. Let's say your brooder will hold 20 chicks for 3 weeks, and you accidentally put 30 in there. That means you are already on borrowed time, and you're already setting yourself up for failure. Because if they get too crowded, you're going to have problems. If that brooder gets too gross, you're going to have problems. So if you know you have too many, get in there and clean every single day, because you want to avoid the problems that come from crowding. You need to be thinking about and immediately implementing a plan to get them into better space, keep their air quality good, keep everything clean before you are seeing the ramifications of the impulse.
And
Already
those,
too late. Get in there, get your
That's
hands
right.
dirty, and fix it.
and you got to plan not just for the immediate, but those chicks are going to be growing constantly. They're going to be getting bigger. There's going to be
By the
feathers
time
dropping
they're
everywhere when they molt,
Mhm.
and you got to be prepared to deal with all of those. You don't want any of that to surprise you, because when you get surprised, you're already starting out behind the 8 ball.
and that's
So
never
how
a
big
good
is your
position
coop
to be in.
and your run? How many birds can you support? What do you need to cull down to in the fall to carry through the winter?
One thing I'll do to accommodate chicken math is, once I start seeing my trajectory of where everybody's headed and how many I'm going to have, I will absolutely go back into my adult pens and go, who among you do I really need to be keeping? Do I have any that aren't laying as expected? Do I have any that are slacking off? Do I have any who aren't going to be quite as good as what I have up and coming? And I'll start thinning preemptively and then consolidating and freeing up space that way. And then also, since I have a dual purpose flock and we do eat chicken, now I'll start looking at who's ready to go into the freezer to free up space that way as well.
So it's a preemptive strike type situation for you.
Once my chicken math starts kicking in, I start taking a look around and I start looking at, all right, I can thin here. I can space these out this way. I can adjust for fire in case my hatch rate was way better than I thought it was going to be, which varies. Like even just yesterday, we had some really severe weather come through and we had a power outage right when I had egg hatching. And our generator is primarily focused on freezer because we can't lose the food we've already put up.
No.
And our generator is suitable for our household, but not the barn. So what I did was make sure I did not open any doors. I didn't change anything. They just had to write it out the way it was. And when I got in there the morning after the storms, everyone who hatched already was perfect. Everyone who was picked, they were shrink wrapped because the airflow stopped. And the temperature got down to 84 degrees in that hatcher before power came back on and it got up where it needed to be. Everything that had not hatched or picked, they did not. So it ended up being like a 50% loss of what should have hatched. But everyone who got out, they were just fine. And then I adjusted for fire with the results in front of me and I got everybody where they needed to be and then decided maybe now we need to consider battery backup or something for that hatch room if these storms are going to keep increasing in frequency and intensity the way they have been. Because a 50% loss from your plan, that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big
planned
whack.
for those birds. This was intentional hatching. This was not chicken math of, oh, collect them all. No, this was I needed those birds and now they're not here.
Last winter, I had 3 consecutive weeks where we had power failures, a week into incubation. That lasted 3 days each. So scrap all them, start over, had another power hit. We were out for 3 days, start all over, had another power hit. So that put me behind a month.
Yeah, I feel behind
Right.
now. Of my
This-
intentional chicken math, I'm behind.
This year, we've got the Yeti Goal Zero solar generator and battery backup system, and our power has only flickered twice.
And,
Go figure.
you know, it's almost like everywhere we go this time of year, we see temptation in the form of go to the feed store for a bag of feed. Got chicks in chick tubs. Just
Well,
peeping
they're
around.
there in the main drive aisle of retail, and I know a little bit about retail. They're also banking on you getting the waterer, the drinker,
Sure.
the bag of feed, the grit.
Yep.
That whole thing is where all the feed stores don't even really make money off those chicks.
No, they lose.
They
money.
make their money off of everything you need for those chicks.
And not only is the feed store doing us in, it just get online, get on Facebook, and what do you see? Posts of those cute little adorable fluffy butts everywhere. And we're
Easter
constantly
television ads.
bombarded with attention grabbers.
Don't fall for it, especially if you cannot have a male bird where you live. If you live somewhere where you're only allowed to have pullets, stay away from straight run. Stay away from it. Could be a boy. Just do yourself a favor and wait. Be patient for what you really need to have in your flock. If you have to have a limited flock, be careful, be patient. Otherwise, you're going to have 5 crowing boys in the middle of the city.
And I can't think of any better advice than that.
You're probably not going to want to eat those boys either. And then what do you do with them?
Exactly. What about what should we do in advance of getting chicks? What's our sort of spring fever planning routine?
Setting up the
Deep
brooder
clean.
and make sure it holds the right temperature. Not cooking them on the first day because you put a 250-watt bulb on them 1.5 feet from the floor level and then Now they're too hot everywhere because you used a plastic tote and a bulb that was made for a barn.
Okay. First off, get plate heaters or sweeter heaters are even better. Yeah, we should know these things by now.
We should, but if you're impulse buying, chances are high that you're going to have to set up a brooder in a hurry.
Yeah, here's the reflective dish and a 250 watt red plastic coated bulb and a spring clamp. I get scared when I see these starter kits at the store, honestly, because we've all seen the pictures and heard the stories of the coop fires and the brooder fires, and it does get scary. Follow the good advice out there.
Hopefully, most people are going into stuff with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Crossed.
Yep.
One thing that concerns me is that with all these chicks that are going out the door from the stores and all these chicks that are being ordered in, what's that going to do to our feed supplies in a month, 2 months, 3 months? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question, but it's something to think about.
I don't think the backyard poultry keeper really impacts the global feed market that much when it comes down to the overall picture, but we're going to feel the effects of the global feed market commodity pricing fluctuations that are about to happen.
Absolutely. I've seen it down here. Of course, we're in Florida. We're pretty much a feed desert. We don't have any local mills to speak of or anything like that. We can't grow any grains down here. We have to bring everything in to make chicken feed. And I've seen the situation where they would almost have fist fights at the feed stores trying to get chick feed.
Yep.
Because they just couldn't get the supplies in.
Sure.
Spring chick season can be one of the most joyful parts of poultry keeping if you plan with purpose. Whether you're hatching heritage breeds or picking up pullets, the key is knowing your limits, setting your goals, and preparing ahead. If this episode gave you a few helpful takeaways, give us a thumbs up, share it with a fellow chicken keeper, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next Poultry Keepers 360. Got a spring chick season story or question? Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, enjoy your birds and hatch your plans with purpose.